Do your Flam accents sound like this? Or maybe your Flam Drags are sounding like this? Or maybe your cheeses sound like this? And maybe your Flam Fives sound like this? And perhaps your Chutichus sound like this? And maybe your cheese Chutichus sound like this? Then you're in the right place, my friends. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Ari Teaches Drums, where I'll be breaking down all the fundamentals of rudimental drumming. In today's episode, we're going to be jumping into Flam Accents and breaking it down, and also how to upgrade these Flam Accents to some other hybrid rudiments like Flam Drags, cheeses, Flam Fives, Chutichus, and cheese Chutichus. I'll also dive into how you can move the flam around as well as move the accent around to create some other variations too, which you can use for solos or just shredding in general. And the exercises I'm gonna cover in this video are an absolute chop builder, so I hope you stick around to see all the different exercises that I have for you in this one. As many of you know, this is part of my Fundamental series, which is on my YouTube channel. If you find this video helpful, please do like, comment, and subscribe for more. And you can check out all my other Fundamental series videos on my channel. I'm also doing DCI breakdowns and reaction videos. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Here we go. So a Flam accent is a 3-note grouping. Essentially, you've got a flam, where we keep that grace note real low on the left hand, while the right hand usually is gonna play an accent. And then we have a low left tap, and then we have a right tap. So in total, we've got flam, left, right. Now, since it's in 3, that's an odd number. So then we go to the left hand and repeat the same pattern, but off the left. So off the left, we'd have left flam, right hand tap, left hand. So in total, we've got flam, left, right, left, right, left. So the sticking overall with the primary notes should just be alternating. Right, left, right, left, right, left. So before you even try playing this rudiment, just try learning how to alternate in 3s, alternate sticking. So going right, left, right, left, right, left, and get an accent every 3. This is super critical to getting the pattern of Flam accents. So we really want to get this. You'd want to make sure it lines up with a metronome. All right, so, okay, that makes sense, but maybe you're still having trouble with just getting the feel of this. I remember when I first started learning this, I kind of would confuse it sometimes with Swiss Armies. The sticking would get weird because it's like, okay, it's a right hand flam, but I need a low left. And then it's like, I would accidentally go to right hand instead of a left after it. So the most important breakdown we can do is isolate what one hand does. When you look at what each hand's doing, essentially the right hand is just playing this. So practice that pattern, just getting that with a met. So something like this. Now, but if you pay attention to what the left hand part actually does, it starts with the last 2 notes of what I just did. So the left hand part would actually be, but it ends up technically being the same thing, because chun da da dun, chun da da dun. It's just offset da dun, chun da da dun, chun da da dun, and then it becomes the same thing. But since they're alternating, it turns into this. And you could just play around with this by putting your right hand on the rim and then having the left hand on the drum, and you can hear those patterns happening on both hands. Check this out. So there you should be able to hear that my right hand is indeed playing that dun da da dun dun da da dun rhythm, and the left hand part is going da dun dun da da dun dun da dun. So just practice that really slowly. And again, I'm a huge proponent and supporter of putting one hand on the rim, the other hand on the drum, so you can hear those two happening and how they relate to each other. 4 quick tips for improving your Flam accents. Number 1, use a mirror just like I'm doing, or a phone camera, to check your dynamic of the accent versus all the taps, and also to check that your grace note is low. Number 2, focus on consistent spacing of your flam. So again, we covered in my flam videos that we don't want our flam to be too open. We also don't want it to be too closed. to where it becomes a double stop. You don't really hear the flam. One exception is in marching arts. We can tend to have it be a little more flat, meaning double stop like, where they strike at the same time. Because in a big drum line, we want it to sound real clean, so we tend to not have as open of an interpretation. But as a general rule of thumb, try to practice having a good quality flam sound with enough space between the grace note and the primary note. And lastly, be aware of your right hand and left hand tendencies. For example, maybe your right hand is stronger than your left hand and you're getting something like this. You want to watch out for that and try to get your dynamic and sound quality to be the same right to left hand. And then also listen for timing. That's my last point. Listen for timing across everything. Make sure your right hand is playing evenly. And your left hand is also playing evenly. So something I want to show you guys before I get to the other hybrid rudiments, a really great exercise you can do to strengthen your playing is to move the accent around. So normally the accent is on the flam, right? So normally it's this. But something you can do to challenge your hands is move the accent to the second partial of, if we're thinking in triplets, of the triplets. So triplet, 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 triplet. We could put it on the second partial. So instead of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, we would put the accent on the second partial. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. This is super huge for building your hands and challenging where the accent is, and then also how the upstroke works, going from the upstroke, or the downstroke to the upstroke rather. So we could play those back to back also kind of in like a grid. So we could go 4 times with the accents on the downbeats, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then after that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So with the Met, we would get this. All right, and then last but not least, we have 3 possible options of where the accents can land in the flam accent pattern. I could put the accent on the third partial, so that'd be flam, tap, accent, flam, tap, accent, flam, tap, accent, flam, tap, accent. In total, it would sound like this. And if we put that with a Met, if we do the entire variation of going through all 3, we would get this. So you can also practice this in a 4-2-1 grid, which I super encourage you to do. But anyway, that's something you can challenge your hands to try. One more thing I'm going to show you guys before I get to the hybrid rudiments is then another variation you could do with these is not moving the accent. Keep the accent the same, but move where the flam occurs. So usually the flam's on the first beat, right? Just like we were doing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 on all the downbeats. We could move the flam to the second partial. So we keep the accent the same, going. But instead I'm going to go accent, flam, tap as a tap, right? Accent, flam, tap. So in total, it goes like this. And then with the Met, so that's with the flam on the second partial, and then we could also do the flam on the third partial, which would sound like this. Accent, tap, flam, accent, tap, flam, accent, tap, flam, accent, tap, flam. Put that together. All right, and then you can put those 3 into a grid like we did before, where you do them back to back. Doing these exercises will really help you get the hybrid rudiments we're about to work on, because they just build your hands up to handle these odd accent patterns and where the flam is placed. So if I put it all together, here's what I get. Moving the grace note, 1, 2. With this variation, it's tough to keep the flam slow, keep the grace note slow, especially coming out of this accent on the second partial. You want to go from downstroke to a low tap. and even lower because it's got to be a flam, or the grace note of the flam, so it's going to be really low. So you got to get down for that tap. All right, let's jump into the hybrid flam rudiments. So up first is cheeses. I want to start with cheeses because it's kind of the easiest to understand to me. All we're going to do is, from earlier, we're going to take that flam accent pattern, which was, and to cheese it, we just put a double on the accent. So it would turn into this. All right, and then that double is occurring while the flam's occurring. So in total, if we add the left-hand part, it would sound like this. 1, 2, 3, go. These show up all over the place, especially in marching percussion, and you're gonna wanna get your cheeses down. With the Met, we could practice going a bar of flam accents to a bar of cheese. That's how I'd suggest you practice. Here we go, 1, 2. All right, up next is Flam Drags. So Flam Drags, similar idea, except the double is placed on the second partial in the pattern. So instead of being on the downbeat, the double is occurring on the second partial. So we're gonna have flam, double, tap, flam, double, tap. Now the only thing is, this is gonna change where that double occurs in the isolated hand pattern, right? So breaking it down, the double's now gonna be on the last note, actually, of this pattern. It's gonna be on the last note of the pattern because the right hand doesn't play that double until after the left hand flam occurs. So the left hand part is obviously gonna be tap, double, and then the accent. And in total, you get this. And again, you could practice isolating these, right hand on rim, left hand on drum, and it would sound like this. And with the Met, let's do our 4 times flam accents, 4 times drags. Here we go. The most common mistake with both cheeses and flam drags for young players is that we don't interpret the double with the accurate rhythm. Some players end up slurring the double or crushing it. So if you slur the double, it's not going to be the right rhythm. It's going to be too wide. If we slur it, it'll sound like this. What that means is that you have to close the space of the double. So that might mean you need to push down just a little more with your arm to get a little bit more of a tighter double space, because if I'm too loose and wristy, it might be too wide and open like this, right? So I might just have to engage my arm a little more to close up the space. Some folks like to think of this as just a little more pressure, but I don't want to squeeze too tight because then I get this, right? And I'm not going for a flam buzz. That's not what I'm trying to do right now. And the same applies for cheeses. Some players will be too wide and open with their double and it sounds like this. But we want right? If you're thinking in 16th notes, 1 EN, 2 and a 3 and 4 EN, 1 and a 2 and 3, right? So we want Imagine you were playing Hertas, right? That's what you want with cheeses. So you want to just close up the space that double, and then you also don't want it too closed or else it sounds like a buzz. And that means you're pressing too hard and you need to open up the space of the double. Okay, moving forward, next is Flam Fives. So with Flam Fives, I love to think of Flam Fives as combining both cheese and flam drags, right? Because with cheeses, we had a double on the flam, and with flam drags, we had a double on the second partial, and that's what we're gonna do for a Flam Five. Cheese immediately into a drag. So we have double, double tap. And that's why it's called Flam Fives. It sounds just like a 5-stroke roll, right? We just have a flam on the first note. So put it together, you get this. Okay, and if you're breaking this down one hand at a time, the right hand part is double on the first note, and then on the last note of the pattern. So dig it, dig it, dig it, dig it, dig it, dig it. And then the left hand. Right? And you put it together and you get. Let's play that with the Met. 4 times Flam Accents, 4 times Flam Fives. All right, next we've got Chutichus. Instead, it involves adding another flam to the pattern. So we're going to take Flam Accents, and we're going to simply add a flam on the third partial as well. So flam, tap, flam, tap, flam, tap, flam, tap, flam. Now, because you're adding an additional note, the isolated pattern is going to be this. Now, the reason why this is tougher is you have to go immediately from that last tap up to that downstroke. So it's a quick upstroke to a downstroke. Some players like to engage the Moeller approach for this. If you're unfamiliar with Moeller, you can go on my channel and watch my video about Moeller. But others just purely wrist it out and do a quick upstroke to get up for the accent. So it would look like this. Now, if you're going to Moeller stroke it, it would kind of be like. Whatever works for you, and it kind of depends on, if you're in a drum line, whatever the technique is across the board, you want to follow the technique. So in total, we have this. Slowly. Slowly. And if I try that with the Met. All right, so let's do 4 times Flam Accents, 4 times Chutichus. Flam Accents and Chutichus essentially sound identical. You want to still be able to hear that third flam, or the flam, excuse me, on the third partial, but at faster tempos, it's gonna start to become a little closer because you can only have such a wide flam at a faster tempo. It starts to become too difficult in a way to have the openness. So it's gonna start to close up because obviously it's just going faster. So you can only have it be so wide or else you'll fall behind. So I would say it's a good thing if your Chutichus sound identical or close to identical to your Flam Accents. Okay, last but not least, we have cheese Chutichus. So this is just like cheesing Flam Accents, except we're cheesing the Chutichus. So we still have a flam on the first note and a tap and then a flam on the third note. But the difference is we're gonna double the first note. So we're gonna have a double on that flam, then the tap, then another flam. So in total, we have this in slow motion. All right, and if we speed it up. So the isolated pattern is and you put it all together and you get this. All right, let's do a bar of Flam Accents and a bar of cheese Chutichus. It also can be helpful to do a bar of Chutichus and then cheese Chutichus, and that makes sense because you want to have Chutichus first before you can even play cheese Chutichus. So make sure you have Chutichus first. So I could do a bar of Chutichus and then a bar of cheese Chutichus. Let's try that. All right, guys, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the video today. If you did, please do like the video and drop a comment to let me know what you found interesting or cool about the video, and do subscribe for more drum educational content. It is my pleasure to do this for you, and it's been a cool passion project for me, so I do appreciate the support. Hope you all have a great one out there, and keep building those chops. All right, guys, Ari Schiller out.